Hey Libra, this is Michael with your June 2022 reading. I have all of your cards already on the table here, and I'm just gonna be honest. I saw this spread, and there was very much a part of me that considered just putting the cards back in the deck and shuffling again. But it feels like this is kind of the stuff we need to be talking about. This is what we need to be working on. It's a bit of a heavier read. And so if you're watching this and you're in a really hard or heavy space and you're just too emotional or raw to work through this right now, pause the video, click away. If you want to come back later, definitely do that. It'll still be here. Because I feel like we need to work through this energy. We need to talk through this stuff that's going on. And I have the link for the Astrology blog down below. You can find all my links for personal readings and Reiki sessions. On Patreon, I do also have the horoscopes for all 12 signs, or kind of the astrology notes that I use for each of these videos. And to be real, May was a really hard month last month. And we have the Strength card in reverse for you for the past. And the Mercury retrograde we had was really, really intense. We had eclipses last month. And with the Strength card in reverse, it's almost like losing control of your emotions or letting your emotions get the better of you. Or your emotions were just bullying you. And it was affecting your perception of situations with the King of Swords in reverse. And this Mercury retrograde was actually very challenging for you, Libra, because Mercury originally went retrograde in the sign of Gemini. And I was telling people for May, Mercury in Gemini is already very powerful because Mercury is domicile. It rules over Gemini. And so when it went retrograde, I knew we were in for a big one. And then as it kind of progressed or continued to go backwards, Mercury entered Taurus. And for you Libra, this really does rule over a lot of really heavy stuff. And it feels like there was just, I'm seeing like literal depression, literal, mental health stuff here. I'm sorry if you're hearing sound in the background. Someone's been like revving their motorcycle all morning, which is really, really annoying. And it also could feel like with the Strength card and King of Swords in reverse, I feel like some of you have been rationalizing and holding on to something that isn't actually good for you. And the astrology this month really is beautiful. I love June. Okay, I'm really, really liking this month. Mercury is going direct. Saturn is going retrograde right at the start here. And while we are kind of playing this catch-up, while we still have all this Gemini energy, with Saturn going retrograde, it really is this kind of coming back to what matters, prioritizing the things that are most important. And that's really going to depend on where this all falls in your chart. And Saturn has been in the sign of your 5th house in Aquarius, which has to do with pleasure and romance and children and creativity and basically these things in your life that are supposed to be fun. They've been really weighed down this year. And it's kind of like this thing I see for you, Libra, and I'm like, why so serious, Libra? What is so heavy? What is so serious? What are you taking so seriously? Maybe there is this energy where honestly you kind of do need to lighten up a little bit. And if something just hasn't been fun or hasn't been fulfilling for you, maybe it is something that you need to let go of, or need to just change your relationship with. Because with Saturn going retrograde, even though this is kind of like a weight being lifted, the way this is sort of manifesting in the collective right now, it's almost like there's just this moment of, oh shit, I can't do this anymore. Like this come to Jesus moment with yourself where you're seeing what's not working and you need to reprioritize and you need to let go. It's kind of this sigh of relief, and it's just like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. And that can be a relief here, but with the Two of Swords in the present as a central energy for you, it feels like you're stalling. There's this indecision that you're making. And like, this sounds a little dramatic, and again, like, maybe this isn't for all of you, but it's like you're so weak energetically. It's like you can't even hold on. You don't have the energy to hold on, and you also don't have the energy to let go. And you're kind of stuck in that energy if that's how you're feeling. I do feel like there will be some answers that come through this month, for sure. With Mercury going direct, we may actually have some rude awakenings this month as well, because there could have been things that happened kind of beneath the surface, or things that we kind of swept under the rug during Mercury retrograde, and that catch-up period when Mercury is going back to the point in the sky it was in before it started going backwards in May. It's literally like we're playing catch-up. And with it being in Gemini, the sign of communication and ideas and the mind, there could be a lot of things that we just didn't hear or didn't see. And it's almost like if you don't have clarity about something, Libra, I gotta be honest, it feels like you're choosing not to see something clearly at this point. Because you don't like how it looks. You don't like what it means or what it could potentially mean. And with the Page of Pentacles in reverse here, it's like not learning a lesson or not accepting a lesson. I very much think of the Page of Pentacles, of all the pages, to embody the archetype of the student the most. And I want to clarify this card in the moment. I'm actually going to clarify all of this. I kind of wanted to do this with you to kind of work through this energy. But it feels like if there's been a project that you've been trying to get started, or just something you've been trying to get going in your life, it feels like it's just very stuck. There's a lot of energy that feels stagnant, but if I'm going to be honest with you, Libra, it feels like if you really reflected on this and really saw your role in the sort of situations and relationships you're in, I think you could kind of see how maybe you're resisting yourself in some way too. And we have the Moon. And this is a very confusing energy. There's a lot of emotions. I feel like part of this is like, you know, your emotions are kind of altering your perception a little bit. And I also want to tell you to literally just pay attention to the moon right now. Like this month we have the moon in Sagittarius, the full moon in Sagittarius on the 14th. This is literally answers and clarity coming in. And in a lot of ways, I feel like this energy that we're talking about, it's like the message you haven't wanted to hear the thing you don't want to hear is kind of what you're hearing this month. Or it's becoming very, very obvious, and it's like you can no longer deny that. I mean, you can actually. You could potentially choose to deny it, but you'll stay in this confused, murky energy that you know isn't working. And you know it's not productive for you. With the Page of Pentacles, something just isn't productive, and you know it. I really think you know it. And then the new moon that we have in Cancer, there really is this thing, there's something bigger that you're supposed to be doing. You know there's something bigger. And it feels like you're trying to hold on to something small with the Page of Pentacles here. You're trying to keep yourself small. And specifically with this new moon, it's the same day that we have Jupiter in Aries, which is the sign of your relationships, squaring off, or not squaring off, it's aspecting Venus, your ruling planet in Gemini. It is squaring off with the moon. I apologize. Sorry. I'm playing catch up here with my own astrology notes, post-Mercury retrograde here. Jupiter in Aries with this new moon really does feel like, to me, there's a lot of emotions. And it could be coming from partnerships, whether that's romantic or business, or even just someone you share your life with in some way, some involved way. I really read this for you, Libra, as part of this new beginning, part of this stepping up in your purpose, whether that's your career or the role you fulfill in the world at large. There's a very serious question here where it's like, are my partnerships, are my relationships inspiring me or distracting me? And I'm getting the sense for a lot of you with the moon here, there's this thing emotionally that's distracting. And it feels like you've been here a few times. I feel like I've pulled the moon a lot for you this year, actually, in these monthly readings. Let's clarify this. What do we do with all of this? What do we do with all of this? Six of Wands in reverse, clarifying the Page of Pentacles. Yeah, this is just not having this breakthrough. It's like you were waiting for a breakthrough, and maybe you were waiting for someone else to have the breakthrough. Maybe you were waiting for something to just shift for you. That's what it feels like. That's what I was talking about with the Strength card here, with the Two of Swords. It's like you've kind of stayed in an energy and maybe even rationalized it to yourself with the King of Swords in reverse, where it's like, well, maybe if I just ride this out, maybe this will change. It's like with the Strength card, it's almost like you've been holding on too long with certain things in your life. And you have not been discerning with this energy. And if I'm being honest, I know with Mars and Chiron in Aries forming a conjunction right at the middle of this month, there's a lot of healing with relationships and partnerships, and this is also opposing you as a Libra. I think this is what a lot of this is about. I think this is why this is probably one of the more challenging readings I've given this month so far. There's some conflict with Mars. There's healing that needs to happen. There's wounds that are being kind of activated. And they're ego wounds in the sign of Aries. And we're all going to have this. We're all going to feel this in different ways. But being your opposite sign, you're feeling this in a very intense and strong way. And there's a lot, too, with relationships. Especially as Venus is entering Gemini at the end of this month, it's like you want more for your life. And that might not be compatible with the people you're sharing your life with. And again, this doesn't have to be romantic. it could also just represent your relationship style, the way you're relating to people at large. Something needs to change. I do feel like with the moon and your ruling planet Venus in Gemini, I feel like art is very healing for you. Just kind of where it's falling in your chart. It's about expression and culture, and maybe artistic expression can kind of help you through this moon energy. That's often a way, I think, to work with these sort of tidal forces. What else does Libra need to hear? How can we work with the energy? Queen of Cups. Love this. Great. She's very attuned to the moon. And she is not a slave to her emotions. She's very, very in tune. She's very intuitive and psychic. She literally represents the sign Cancer. And we are coming into this Cancer energy by the end of the month. And so I really feel like this new moon, it's just being very real with yourself. And being very real with your emotions. And with the Queen of Cups, she's so sensitive and intuitive. She really does have to be discerning with where she puts her energy, with the people she associates with. And if it's not on your wavelength, then I think it's something you kind of need to let go of. And it's interesting seeing the Queen of Cups here, because by herself she can be very, very receptive. But with the moon, it's almost like taking responsibility over your own emotions. And that doesn't mean that that's a perfect process. That doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes along the way, but it's this recognition that you are having this month where it's like, yeah, something's not working. And the full moon in Sagittarius on the 14th really wants us to break free. And we have the Judgment card here in the reverse. You're really resisting this call. You're really resisting this message. You're really resisting the process. Ten of Swords. You're really afraid of ending something. It's like you're afraid of this ending of something that's killing you slowly. And sometimes when I see the Ten of Swords, it's a dramatic card, it's a painful card, it's one of the harder cards to see in a spread, but honestly, like, sometimes when I see it, I'm like, hell yeah. You know, you're the one putting the swords in it, you're the one putting an end to this. And with it in the reverse, it's like, you're so resistant to that. You're so resistant to just closing this out. Or just admitting something to yourself. And it's clear as day at this point. And if this isn't your reading, like, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's fine. Doesn't mean anything went wrong. You're welcome to check out some of the other readings, maybe for your moon or rising sign. I have a whole playlist on my channel. But for those of you whose message this belongs to, or for those of you who are resonating with this message, it's like you've been afraid of making a painful choice because it's uncomfortable. But by choosing to stay in that energy, you're just staying in something that's uncomfortable anyways. Three of Cups. Listen to your friends, listen to support. I actually specifically thought of sisterhood with this card, which is interesting. And I mean, the full moon in Sagittarius is in your third house, which does involve siblings. So maybe there's something literally involving siblings for you, but I specifically heard the word sisterhood. And it feels kind of like that priestesshood as well. Especially looking at this card, I'm just very drawn to kind of the pagan depictions or elements with the gourds. It feels like a ritual of some kind, doing a ritual of some kind. I think part of the transition or change needs to be ritualized and ceremonialized in some way. I feel like ceremony and ritual is really important, especially around the moons. Do something with these moons this month, especially with the new moon in Cancer. It's like the best moon this year to work with. Because the moon is most powerful in Cancer. And let yourself rest. Let something go. Heal with the Four of Swords. Put something to rest. It doesn't have to be a violent process. It's almost like literally performing a funeral for the energy or situation or relationship you've been in. That's quite literally how I'm seeing Four of Swords with the Three of Cups. This is very, very interesting to me. Put it to rest, Libra. Put it to rest. I'm going to pull an animal card here too. Whoops. What is the animal card? Dragon. And I did have this rabbit flip up as well, so I'm going to look at this too. But the dragon represents the solar plexus. It's this inner fire. And really working with the solar plexus this month. Maybe you've just felt very depleted. I definitely feel like a lot of you have been just feeling very energetically dragged through the mud. And it's really important that you're healing your solar plexus and making decisions that are good for you. And allowing yourself to see things clearly, allowing yourself to make very logical judgments. And also the purification of fire. I feel like maybe even burning something on the Sagittarius full moon is important. Working with fire this month. And the rabbit. It's kind of being locked in fear. And again, it's like the longer you stay in the energy, the harder it is. Like when a rabbit's afraid, it freezes up. And you need to ground your nervous system. You need to heal your nervous system this month. You need to do things that help you unwind. I'm thinking specifically of things like down regulation. Spending 2 hours before bed, really relaxing your nervous system. It's giving yourself a morning routine where you're not just like throwing yourself into the day haphazardly. It's spending time in nature, putting your feet in the grass, grounding, or touching trees, connecting to something that is grounding. And listening. Listen. Like, I keep wanting to tell you, listen. Because there's answers, there's clarity that's very, very abundant at this point. And it's almost like you don't want to hear it. And if you let yourself hear the things you don't want to hear, and maybe it causes you to freeze up or lock up and have a reaction, let that moment pass. Let that reaction pass through you. And maybe there is something this month for this group, honestly, that really shakes you up. And these cards are kind of helping you find that center, find that groundedness. And Crow at the bottom of the deck, again, reminds me of that flock that kind of connotation with magic again. I feel like it's very important for you to connect with a group of like witches or energy workers or psychics or something, people who operate in that wavelength. And it kind of feels like you've had to distance yourself from this group of people because maybe they were telling you things, or you were afraid of being told something you didn't want to hear. But Crow is all about truth. Crow is the messenger. It's just going to tell you like it is. I feel like I need to pull one more card for you. I know we're going a little over. I want to get it before the video ends. I get like 30 minutes in these recordings before my memory card decides, nah, I'm backing out. Let's pull one more message for you. Trout Lily. Patience. Some of you are afraid of letting something go because you've already put so much time and energy into it, but it's like, let things happen in divine timing. Trout lilies can take 4 to 7 years before they first bloom. And it's like, maybe there's this energy of like, oh, I should be farther along in my life. I should have the relationship. I should have the job. I should have these things figured out by now. And you have the cattail, which is about building something over time. Patience is key, and that's something that's really, really important with the Saturn retrograde as well. What we're working on has to be sustainable for a long-term project. And it's really important that you're building things and that you're patient with this process. Good things come with time. And when we're in this really intense energy, it's like we want the immediate solution. We want to be out of it. We want to be done with it. We don't want to feel this way anymore. But it's a process that takes time. And it's never too late to blossom. It's never too late to become what you were meant to be. And those are all the messages I have for you this month, Libra. I hope this was helpful. I hope this wasn't too heavy for you. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if it was. It does help this channel grow. It helps me continue to put out these messages. And of course, all of my links are in the description box down below if you'd like a reading or Reiki session. And you can find the playlist for all the other signs. Maybe there's another message there for you as well. Hopefully one that's less intense than this one. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, Libra. Have a happy June. You got this. Just do what you need to do.